to India and Ireland, round Africa and back again. We don't really need to know just where we'll go. Maybe Canada, then to Brazil, then through the Alpine foothills. All I really want to know is, can we go? Oh baby, can we go? Round and around the globe.
Welcome to Take Me With You, episode 160. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Cheryl. We are two well-traveled people who want to go everywhere.
But that's not going to happen. Instead, for the last couple of years, we've been traveling vicariously by inviting guests to share their unique travel stories with us.
It's been awesome, and our podcast has been all over the globe.
Now we're taking some time to revisit the Wish You Were Here segment of our show, where we each share travel attractions that we recommend.
This week's Wish You Were Here's are from the Puget Sound Islands.
Puget Sound Islands. I feel like we might need to explain what that means a little bit.
Yeah, unless you're from Washington State or maybe even specifically from like the greater Seattle area. I don't know if you know the Puget Sound, but if you picture Washington, there's like, it's kind of mainly a rectangle, but then there's a spot where there's a lot of water where it like goes in it. It's not just on the end. It's like kind of goes, there's water that goes in it. And that's the Puget Sound. And this is exactly how anyone would explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how anyone would be struggling to understand what you're describing right now at all.
Okay.
But
if they
were, maybe they should just go look at a map.
That's what I was going to say. If they're actively looking at a map of Washington, as I say, the water that goes in it, then they'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Puget Sound is a big body of water that borders Seattle on one side. And it was actually carved out by glaciers quite a while ago, before any of us were around, definitely. And because of the way that the glaciers kind of carved out the waterways, it left behind some spots that were carved out more than others. And so there's all of these islands that run through it, but they're oddly shaped islands. Oftentimes they're long and narrow, or they have weird curves to them and all sorts of things. And there's just some really cool experiences and things to see and do on some of the islands that are in Puget Sound.
Yeah. And the islands are really unique. Like, I don't know, if I just hear the word island, like islands are not necessarily what I would picture.
Well, they're not tropical.
They're not tropical, but they're like heavily wooded.
Yeah.
You know, like you could be on this island and go on a hike and think that you're in the mountains somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
When actually you're on like not that big of an island, you know? And so, and because of these islands, we also have a lot of ferries in this area.
Yeah, we do.
To us, as like, I think most people around here have been on a ferry at some point, but there are a lot of people who have never been on a ferry. And so that's super fun too. It's also like if someone is visiting Seattle, this is a way to see, I think like some really beautiful and interesting areas that are not that far from Seattle that are so different than going to see like the city of Seattle.
Yes. But you can take a few of these ferries directly from downtown Seattle on the waterfront, and you can go across. I think one of the ones that we talk about is Bainbridge Island, and it's just a tiny little island. It's a small town community, but
and you can just walk on a ferry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know. It's pretty cool. And so go to the islands in the Puget Sound, go have fun. Yeah. It's worth it. Delightful.
Jill, what's your wish you were here?
Yeah, well, actually last weekend I did something that I've been waiting for a long time, and I took my best friend on an Airbnb experience. So I don't know if you've seen these on Airbnb, but they have like different in different cities, not everywhere, but some places you can go and you could do like a wine tasting or a cooking class or whatever.
That's fun. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. In Anacortes, there is a sanctuary for wildlife, and you get to go play with wolves.
What?
And it is magical.
Wait, you get to play with wolves?
Like, you get to, like, cuddle them and pet them.
What?
And, like, play with the puppies. And
Yeah.
It is incredible, and the work they're doing is so cool. Anyway, they started out, just this one guy and his family started out with a budget of $13,000 a year, and through Airbnb and these experiences have multiplied into like a multi-million-dollar industry, and they've hired staff and been able to take on all these animals. So they have like 7 sloths now that they just got. The state gave them. Yes, you can't play with the sloths.
Well, I want to play with the sloth, though. I will.
Jill, can you explain why they have these animals there?
What'd you say?
Can you explain why they have those animals?
Yeah, well, the sloths.
They're not just like collectors, right?
No. So they're a sanctuary for animals. So these sloths in particular were owned by a woman in Oregon, which I guess it's legal in Oregon.
To own a sloth?
I guess so.
Well, I guess I'm moving to Oregon, so see you guys.
But then when she moved to Washington, it's illegal here, and so the state confiscated them, and they had to give them somewhere to live, and so they chose this place in Anacortes, and they built them a little residence, and they brought on a sloth expert to take care of them, and it's just really cool. And then, and they have all kinds. They have skunks, they have armadillos, they have an anteater, all kinds of stuff. But you literally just get to go and pet all these animals and howl with the wolves, and it's so cool. Anyway, it's called Predators of the Heart. And it's in Anacortes, Washington.
Here's the thing. That sounds like a romance novel, and I'm not on board with that title.
It really does. But
Just howling with the wolves, huh?
So.
Wow. Okay, in Anacortes, Washington. There we go.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
That's a good one.
Cheryl, what would you like to do for your Wish You Were Here this week?
I want to talk about a place I just visited this weekend. So this is hot off the press for you guys. So if you were to think about a park where you could get a really good view of the Seattle skyline, what would you say?
Gasworks.
Oh, yeah. Gasworks is good. I would think Cary Park, or maybe, I don't know if it's a park, but like Alki Beach.
Yeah. Those are good options. I like those a lot. I found one that was literally a different angle. But what was so fun was way less crowds than you're going to get at those places, and just a fun experience. So I went to Bainbridge Island this weekend, and if for people who aren't from Western Washington, there's like a million little islands in the Puget Sound, but Bainbridge Island is one that is really close to Seattle. You can actually take a ferry from the Seattle waterfront to the island. So it was such a fun weekend. But we went to Rockaway Beach Park, and we went there during the golden hour, which is like that last hour, or it's the first hour of sunlight that you get, and so things appear more like orangey, goldeny, and it is this wonderful view of the Seattle skyline over the water. And so it's so fun, because then you're also watching ferries come back and forth, like a ferry like come from there and then go back there and like across, and it's just, I mean, and it's a little beach, and so you can like, you know, check out the cool rocks on the beach, and there's some picnic tables there. But oh my gosh, it was such a lovely way to view the city from this like really quiet place. And I mean, being at the beach and hearing the waves and stuff is always really nice. So, I mean, I would recommend Bainbridge Island anyway, but specifically like go to this park, get your iconic Seattle view, but away from all the crowds at Cary Park. So, yeah.
Nice. That is a good suggestion. Cheryl, what would you like to do for your Wish You Were Here?
Well, I'm so excited about this one. I think you're both going to be into it. It is a restaurant, but Ryan, breakfast is where you want to, is what you want to get there.
Yes.
Okay, so-
Yes, I'm on board.
Ryan's not always a foodie, or not usually a foodie, but he does love
Nope.
breakfast foods.
I do love
Hillary,
breakfast
have
food.
you been to Bainbridge Island?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I went there. When was it? On Thanksgiving, because we canceled our Thanksgiving plans, so we got an Airbnb on Bainbridge Island, and we went to this little breakfast place called the Madison Diner. And it's pretty close to like their cute little downtown area with the shops and restaurants and everything. It's not in the heart of it, but it's like a couple blocks away from everything else. It's in a train car. So
Ooh.
I love a dining experience. I love a weird atmosphere or just like different, I don't know, than normal. And so it's fun. Since we were eating there during COVID times, they had a tent outside with like heaters and a covered area and the walls and everything. So you could just look at the train car, but not be in the train car, which is so funny. But their food is so good. I think I had crab Benedict, like eggs Benedict with crab in it, which it was amazing. And then my husband got this like pork belly hash thing that was really yummy too. And they have like fun breakfast cocktails and really good service. And so yeah, I think it's just like I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, they're just breakfast, which is fun.
Yeah, the website says breakfast and then brunch Fridays through Sundays.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was so good, and you get to be in a train car. So I would definitely recommend it.
Cheryl, the website also says they have party space.
Ooh.
You could do a party
Train party.
in a train car diner.
Also, what's really fun is instead of an after dinner mint, since it's breakfast time, because they squeeze their own orange juice. So then they candy the orange peels. And so you get a candied orange peel as your little like end of meal
Fun.
little treat. And that inspired me to make them for Christmas. So I made a bunch of candied orange peels and they were great. It was also super easy. But it was a fun like not Christmas cookie thing to make. So just to mix it up a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Cheryl, what are you going to do for your Wish You Were Here?
Mine's not as good, but we do this every week, so I feel okay about that. So, have either of you been to Coupeville on Whidbey Island?
Yes.
I've been through it. I don't know that I've
Okay.
ever stopped in it.
Okay. So, I'm a big fan of Whidbey Island, and I would recommend it to people visiting the greater Seattle area or just any of the islands or the Olympic Peninsula or anything. It's all great. But Coupeville is a really cute town, more towards the north end of the island. And I was just there this weekend, and it was so funny because so my husband and I ate at this restaurant that I'm going to talk about, but it's on this little street, and it's like their main street right on the water. And I was like, man, this street's so funny because it looks like it's in a movie. And Daryl was like, no, it looks like it's in a Hallmark movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. This is a Hallmark movie street where like somehow the main character also works on that street and like it's walkable to get back to their house and they run into everyone there, you know? And so the restaurant that we went to was the fancy restaurant where maybe the big proposal scene happens or maybe the first date. Or I'm trying to think about like what else would happen in the Hallmark movie. But no, it's just a great restaurant. It's called Front Street Grill. It's in Coupeville. Coupeville is on Penn Cove. And if anyone's heard of Penn Cove mussels, they're awesome mussels and they come from right there. And so
You're talking about the sea creature, yes?
Yes.
Not like a
It's
gym.
Very delicious and edible. So this place has mussels in like 10 different ways that they do like a sauce or different ingredients with them.
I'm sorry, I'm still picturing every time you say muscles, actual like someone flexing their biceps. So this place has muscles in 10 different ways. Sorry. Continue.
Yes, please continue.
They grow the mussels and harvest them. I love eating the food that is mussels.
You could just stop at you love eating.
Yeah, that's true. I love eating. Yeah. Yeah. I love eating food. Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, they have a great menu. It's not ginormous, which I'm a fan of. They have really good burgers there and some other things as well, but they just have a section of their menu that's mussels, and it's so fun because it's like right outside pretty much. And so I'm always a fan of seafood when it's that fresh. But yeah, mine included bacon as a part of the mussels too. So that was really good. So, yeah, I'd recommend Front Street Grill if you're on Whidbey Island. It's great.
What about you, Ryan? What's your wish you were here moment?
So this one, I actually, in my head, I figured that we had already shared about, but I can't find it on our spreadsheet anywhere. So, and that is Fort Casey State Park on Whidbey Island. If
Nice.
you guys are both like nodding because obviously if you are not from this area, just near Seattle, we've got quite a few islands out in Puget Sound. One of them is Whidbey Island, which is really narrow but very, very long. And there's actually technically 3 forts, 2 of them on Whidbey Island and one of them over on the peninsula, that form sort of a triangle that was supposed to protect Puget Sound in times of war, to prevent ships from coming in all the way down into like Seattle and Olympia and kind of the more populated areas. But Fort Casey, at least, has been turned into a state park. And it's really, really cool because it's kind of in the side of this hill that overlooks the sound. And so there's all sorts of bunkers and rooms and stairs and old guns, and you can climb around and walk through the old rooms. And it's super, super beautiful. There's lots of places you can walk around and see. It's very scenic. And it's just kind of a fun place to go and hang out. And you can spend a little bit of time there. You could spend a bunch of hours there. They got huge green grass areas. You can, play active sportsy things for people who like to do those sorts of things.
Sportsy.
Yeah, active sportsy things. I don't know what they would be. That's not me. I'd rather just sit or walk. I don't really want to be active and sportsy, but it's really, really cool. So I would definitely say Fort Casey on Whidbey Island near Seattle.
Nice.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Also, for the record, you guys have had to do this so many times. I am astounded, and I hold you both in very high regards for being able to come up with 106.
Yep.
Well, we haven't done them for every episode. There are some episodes that we haven't done them on for different reasons.
But
and
probably still around 100 that we've
probably
done. Yeah.
Probably, near 100. And it's become significantly harder, especially for me with COVID, because I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Cheryl's still going places, local places, but she's still going and experiencing new things. Whereas I've had to kind of go back and see, okay, what are the things I haven't talked about yet? Because I'm not really going very many new places these days.
It's still fun. Very impressive. So just know that.
Oh, thank you.
Your creativity is noted.
Great.
How about you, Ryan?
Well, mine's not nearly so exciting, but it is scenic. So I just want to mention Deception Pass in Washington. So here in Washington State, we've got lots of water. There's Puget Sound. We've got a lot of lakes. There's all sorts of things around in Western Washington. And because it was carved out by glaciers, we've got really deep and long, narrow waterways, and also some islands that are left because of that. And so Whidbey Island is one of the bigger ones. And at the south end, you can take a ferry to go to the south end of the island. But at the north end, there's actually a bridge that you can drive onto the island from. And they call that kind of that gap where the water goes through their Deception Pass. And it is gorgeous. The bridge is pretty high, but especially if you get there on a clear day, which, Western Washington, that's not always, but they do exist. They do exist. It's just gorgeous to see the water moving underneath, and there's trees. There's sort of like a little mini island kind of in the middle. And I think there's a state park there, I think, that you can get out and you can kind of hike around. And it's just incredibly gorgeous and beautiful. It's not complicated. There's not a ton of, amazing things to go and see and do, but it's just really, really beautiful. And even just driving across Deception Pass to get onto Whidbey Island instead of, taking the ferry, it's, it could be a little bit out of the way, but sometimes that's just more fun than waiting in a line for a ferry for 3 hours to just do the drive and then be able to see Deception Pass. So that's my wish you were here, is Deception Pass.
Nice.
Love it. That's a gorgeous place. There's good hiking around there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, mine is on Whidbey Island, which is in the Puget Sound in Washington State, so in western Washington. The Puget Sound, there's a really cool area. There's a lot of little islands along there. Whidbey Island, though, is actually the longest island in the United States, I believe.
Oh, is it really?
It's
all
really
the United
long.
States?
Yeah. And so, but I've been there a lot. My parents have a house over there and stuff. I would say it's just adorable. I mean, a lot of the little islands in Washington like that are just so cute and small towns, and it's a really skinny island. So just like there's so much coast to it, which is so fun, like the rocky beaches with the anemones and all that stuff. But, so there's lots of great stuff there, but it is one of the few remaining drive-in theaters. And so in Oak Harbor, which is the largest city on
that's
Whidbey
on the
Island.
north end of the island, right?
Yes, the north end of the island. It's the largest city in Whidbey Island. They still have a drive-in theater, and it's great. They do during the summer. It's open every night. During the school year, it's open on the weekends. They do either double feature or a triple feature for something like $6.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they have a good concession stand with like a lot. I mean, it's still like movie theater concessions. I mean, which is good, but like a lot of items and stuff, which is so fun. And man, drive-ins are the best. It's just like, it's so fun. I love it so much. I've gone a lot of times. I've even like gone alone and taken my dog, because getting to take your dog to the movies, like that's really fun. And so, yeah, I would say if you're on Whidbey Island, you gotta go. It's the Blue Fox Drive-In, and big fan. Yeah, so
best
wish
double
you were
feature
here.
you've seen there?
Ooh, how do I pick? I mean, I've seen a lot of good films there. I've seen Inside Out there. I saw Beauty and the Beast there. Saw one of the Star Trek movies there. The Star Trek one was a little bit tough because it was also a little rainy that night, and it's visually a very dark movie. So, like, the vision on that wasn't quite as good.
So they're first run movies. They're not like old
they're
movies
first
or
run.
anything
They
like
used
that.
to do second run, and now they're doing first run because they had to switch what type of projection they were doing eventually. So now they weren't really like saving money by doing second run, and so
Gotcha.
Yeah, big fan of that place. Oh, and they have go-karts. So if you come early, you can go ride some go-karts around.
Oh, you
this
don't
little
ride the go-karts
track.
while you're watching the movie?
I mean, I don't, but like you can
okay.
ask them.
Okay.
Yeah. So wish you were here.
Cool. Yeah. You've told me about that for years. I've still never been.
Really?
I'm gonna have to go
Oh
at
my
some point.
goodness.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to tell you about it again.
That's
when you
right.
Listen to this podcast episode.
So, Cheryl, what would you like to do for your wish you were here?
Well, I was thinking about, some things that, as we're talking about suggestions of things to do while not traveling or not going out to eat so much. Something that I am going to try to do is do some hiking and being outdoors. And that's something that everyone can enjoy. And so I thought I would do a place outdoors that I enjoy. It's not a hike. However, it's a great outdoor attraction that, I don't know if they're open right now, but they might be able to stay open because it's a garden on Whidbey Island.
Ooh.
It's called the Muirkirk Gardens, and it's in Green Bank on Whidbey Island.
Yeah, but you forgot. It's Muirkirk Gardens, a peaceful woodland garden.
Yes. Oh, that was a really good voice. You could be a yoga teacher.
Thank you. That's what it says on their website. So
I know they actually have a really good website. I was just looking at it. So Whidbey Island is the longest island in North America. So it's important to
I
say
didn't know
which
that.
city on Whidbey Island because it's not it's actually big enough that it takes like an hour and a half to drive from one end to the other. So it's in Green Bank on Whidbey Island. And it is a rhododendron garden, although they have all sorts of flowers.
I've heard about it. I didn't realize that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a ton of rhodies there, and then obviously a lot of other flowers too. But it's a great garden. It's definitely like feels like Pacific Northwest, which is really fun too. Where there's also it's so green and lush. I went there in the spring, and that was wonderful. And it is really peaceful there. It's a really nice place to walk around, and it's flat. So if you just want like an easy walk, that's nice too. So yeah, I would say that's something everyone could do right now, actually. Not all at once though, but one at a time. We will let you go in there.
Yeah. And I did just check on their website. They are saying that their gardens are open.
Oh, great.
So, Christy, what would you like to share for your Wish You Were Here?
Well, you guys are both from Washington, right? You're both
Yes.
Okay. So this, you might have already said this, or because it's close to you, but one of my favorite family trips was at the San Juan Islands on the border of Washington and Canada. In what's the sound? Is it Puget Sound, or which sound is it there? Yeah.
Puget Sound.
That is just an incredible place that I think a lot of people need to experience. The natural beauty. It's really nature focused up there, but man, it's gorgeous and unique.
Do you remember which island or islands you went to?
I remember loving Susha Island, which I think is a smaller one, but my mom and I took a hike on there and just found. Actually, it was a while ago, so now I'm getting them mixed up. But I do remember hiking on Susha. It was super beautiful. That was a really special trip for us, though, because we kind of splurged. And my dad, we love boating, so my dad actually rented a 2-story power boat. And we got to, we basically kind of motored through the islands and would stay in Roach Harbor. I think I think that's the main island, right? Is that the San Juan one? I forget, but because this was like when I was in high school or something. But yeah, we kind of putted around and moored off at several of the different islands. But I know I loved Susha, and I do remember Roach Harbor. And at one point, like a killer whale and her calf swam under our boat. And I don't know, it was just the sunsets, just everything was just so incredibly beautiful.
Classic.
Yeah.
I love that. The San Juans are great. I need to go back out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that far.
I've
from
only been
where
out
we
there
live,
once,
and
it was.
I think I've only been there as a kid. I need to go back.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, it was. We would love it if you would follow us on social media. We are at Timwy Podcast. That's at TMWY for Take Me With You Podcast. We are on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
You can also email us at timwypodcast@gmail.com. Tell us, what are your Wish You Were Here's for this location?
We would love to hear that. You can also call us and leave us a voicemail at 406-763-8699. Or if it's easier to remember, 406-POD-TIMWY. We would love it if you would rate and review our podcast to tell other people what you think about it, subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode, and share about this episode on your social media.
As always, thank you to Beth Reed Miller for the awesome artwork. You can check out more of Beth's artwork at Beth Is Something. And thank you to Erica Corbin for the use of her song Round the Globe. You can listen to Erica's music wherever music is sold or streamed.
That's all we have for this episode. So until next time, remember to take me with you.
Take me with you.
Can we get a sailboat chasing down the sunset as we float round and round the globe? Salty air and balmy nights, guided only by the lights above, and a little love. Oh, the world